they're both still guesses. Now, I want to compare this list for two different years, for the year 2000 and 2014. In 2000, there were just over 1 trillion barrels of oil in estimated global reserves, and this is according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The countries with the largest reserves were Saudi Arabia at 26%, Iraq at 11%, and each with 10%, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Iran. These 5 Middle Eastern countries accounted for 2/3 of the world's oil reserves. Other countries were Venezuela, 7%, Russia, 5%, and the U.S. and China each had 2%. Now, this was a bit unnerving for the U.S. because it had 2% of the world's reserves, but consumed 25% of the world's total oil production, about 20 million barrels in a year out of a global 77 million barrels. The U.S. used as much oil in a year as it had total in reserve. Well, now let's jump ahead to 2014. The total reserves were now 1.656 trillion barrels of oil. Again, according to the Energy Information Administration. Yes, that's a 60% increase from 2000. And here were the world leaders now by nation in 2014. Venezuela, 18%. Saudi Arabia, 16%. Canada, 10%. Iran, 9%. Iraq, 8%. Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates, 6%. The 5 big Middle East countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, now had less than half, 46% of the world's oil. And the number 1 and 3 countries were now Venezuela and Canada. So what happened here? How did the total world reserves increase by 60% over this time period? And where did the reserves of countries such as Canada and Venezuela suddenly come from? Even more interesting, most of those increases occurred in a single year. Nearly all of Canada's reserves came in one year, 2003, and most of Venezuela's reserves were added in 2 years, 2011 and 2013. So was all of this oil suddenly discovered all at once? Well, no. There is some new oil discovered all of the time. The oil companies continue to lay out seismic lines on land and in the ocean and drill exploratory wells in more and more parts of the world. For the